Okay. Well, the administration is saying that it won't bail out Detroit, but, we're discovering a possible backdoor bailout. Detroit looking to unload nearly 20,000 retirees into the healthcare law's new marketplaces. Now, this is a move that could save the city about $40 million a year, but force taxpayers to pick up the tab. To Katie Pavlich, Celia, Bigelow, and David Callahan. Katie, sounds like a backdoor bailout to me.
Absolutely. Obamacare was not set up to be a slush fund for failing cities that have made bad fiscal decisions for decades and decades. If we've learned anything, we need to take a step back, understand that more spending and more government bailouts isn't the way to go. Detroit has $5.7 billion in unfunded health care liabilities. And you start multiplying that by 61 cities that are having the same kind of problems, you're going to be up to $1 trillion really quickly on the federal dole.
Yeah, David, as some famous politician said, sooner or later it adds up to real money. What do you make of it? Listen, from the city's perspective, you probably do whatever you can. But from a practical perspective and from the taxpayer's point of view, it seems like it might be an unfair gambit.
Well, let's just be clear that pensions are not the thing driving Detroit's bankruptcy. I mean, this bankruptcy has been 40 years in the making. We're talking about a city that's lost half of its population or more. We're talking about a city with 78,000 vacant buildings, 40% of people live in poverty, the highest unemployment rate.
They have borrowed money, though, to meet pension obligations, and that's only made the debt grow faster and more dangerous.
Right, but if you look at what that debt is, that $18 billion, a very small fraction of it is pension. It's more of these general obligations, and no wonder Detroit would have to borrow a lot of money. It's lost its industrial base. It's like looking at a guy with a lot of credit card debt and saying he's been irresponsible when, in fact, he's had cancer for 40 years and been unemployed.
Yeah, well, maybe that same guy smoked four packs of cigarettes a day. I mean, Celia, Detroit is not some sort of bad luck case. They brought this upon themselves no matter what side of the aisle you're on. This is a cancer patient that sort of brought it on himself.
Absolutely, and I actually grew up in the Detroit suburbs, so I've been seeing this immorality that's been brought up in Detroit my entire life, and it is the result of a bloated government and irresponsible government bureaucrats that have been there for decades and decades, and they have been in bed with the unions this entire time, which is exactly why Detroit is going into bankruptcy, because they have taken out just billions of dollars of liabilities in pensions and health care, coupled with irresponsible government policies that have driven people out of the city. So I don't think Detroit's going to be the last city to see this happen, but Detroit should be a red flag for cities that are also facing a similar situation, and they have to take the necessary steps towards pension reform and enacting government policies that will bring business into the area, or Detroit is going to be the end for them as well.
David, you bristled a little bit as she was speaking, and she was using words like immoral and irresponsible and things like that. You think, there was a white flight from Detroit. I mean, sometimes that's the elephant in the room. What caused all of these things, and was it part and parcel of the same mindset that goes with respect to big government?
Deindustrialization caused this. I mean, in the last 15 years alone,
who caused that, though?
Rise of China, rise of other industrial competitors like Japan.
That's it, David?
Yeah, in the last 15 years alone, Michigan has lost 48% of its manufacturing jobs. Those good-paying industrial jobs, a lot of those jobs have been lost in Detroit. Detroit has the highest unemployment rate of any city in the country. 40% of people live in poverty.
But
anybody
why,
making
Dave?
I'm going to go to Katie. Katie, I want you to answer that, because you know what? While they were losing these manufacturing jobs, people in Alabama were getting them, people in Tennessee were getting them. They didn't necessarily all flee America.
Right, yeah. Texas has a pretty low unemployment rate, and they have lots of manufacturing jobs in Texas. Why? Because they've cut government bureaucracy. They've detached themselves from the unions, which caused this mess for 40 years. And it's so typical of big government liberals to continue to act like Detroit wasn't a product of big government and overspending. It absolutely was. And if we can't learn from this situation, we're never going to. And I can tell you that I, along with lots of other taxpayers, are sick of bailing out bad decisions and not having people take responsibility for those bad decisions either. It costs money. It costs jobs.
Right.
There are more workers in this country that deserve some credit. Taxpayers deserve some credit. It's time for Detroit to start over and take responsibility for its own problems.
Having said that, Celia, I want to come to you. We've only got a minute left. You know the town, you know the city pretty well.
Yep.
Do they have the wherewithal to start over? Do they have the wherewithal to take this punishment? Because it is going to be bruising no matter how you feel about how they got here. It's going to be a real tough nut to swallow. Can they do it?
Absolutely, they can do it. Anyone can do it, Charles. Anyone can take the necessary steps to get government out of the way and to get the money back into the taxpayers and to make it a business-friendly environment. This is not impossible. For example, I hate to throw this guy a compliment, but Rahm Emanuel enacted pension reform in Chicago, and he wrote why he did so in an op-ed in the Chicago Tribune titled, "The longer we wait for pension reform, the higher the price we'll pay." And he realized that it was because of irresponsible government bureaucrats getting in the way and getting in bed with unions, and it will ultimately in the end, retirees, schools, and citizens and businesses will be paying that higher price. So yes, Detroit needs to take the necessary steps to do that as well. Maybe that was
part of Rahm Emanuel's soul that spent a little time on Wall Street. You guys are fantastic and come back a little bit later.